Hi, I'm Liav, CEO of Quantum Hub. Welcome to EcoMotion 2021. Today, we will discuss the changes and transformation accepted to redefine logistics with Shai, Esti, and Israel.
Hi, I'm Esti Goldhammer, Managing Partner at BDO Operational Excellence. I have about 30 years of experience in logistics and operational excellence.
So hi everyone, my name is Israel. Very excited to be here at the EcoMotion Week. I'm leading the logistics and delivery platform at VIA. Before joining VIA, I was the CEO at Fleetonomy, and VIA acquired us last year as a company to lead the logistics division at VIA. VIA has been working now for almost a decade on building a digital infrastructure for moving people from place to place. In the past few years, also focusing on moving goods from place to place. I'm very excited to be here and give you a bit of insight about what we're doing in this space.
Hi, Shai Gutman, Head of Technology and Innovation at OPSI, the authorized service contractor for UPS in Israel. In the morning, I'm managing the technology division, and in the evening, I'm managing our local innovation hub. Previously to UPS Israel, I was working for global consulting firms, and I'm very happy to be here and share a little bit of my experience from this disrupted and thrilled industry.
So guys, the first question for you. Recent research mentioned traditional shipping logistics space is being disrupted by different sectors. In areas include freight management, warehouse, automation, etc. Can you share how your organization or customer are preparing for the future and dealing with such disruptions? Israel, can you start?
Sure. So when you look at logistics, it's one word, but it's containing so many different aspects that are changing nowadays with new technologies. I can focus on the part that we at VIA are doing when it comes to transportation. When you're looking at logistics and you're trying to analyze the different pillars, transportation is one of the biggest ones in logistics. It will be on the long haul, it will be on the last mile, on returns, on inbound of raw materials. And what we've been seeing in the past few years with Amazon and different things that are affecting the needs of us as end consumers is a big demand when it comes to the last mile part or home delivery. Now, what we've been seeing in the past year, and there was a research of McKinsey coming out last year about since the pandemic, in around 8 weeks, we've seen an acceleration that was supposed to take 5 years of digital acceptance of end consumers. Now, that is of course affecting a lot of aspects of the industry, but one of them is also the home delivery. So what we're seeing today in the past year is a really growing demand, really accelerated on the home delivery part, which of course also affects all the different parts of transportation that requires to deal with meeting the expectations of the end consumers, being there on time, that also affecting distribution. And we're seeing, and we're very happy to be part of such a big disruption and change that requires being more efficient, that requires to be there on time, that requires to have more visibility in a lot more aspects that require new kinds of technologies in order to meet customer expectations.
When we started the Ship Your Innovation Incubator, we understood that we need to start, cooperating, start working on the innovation muscle, because innovation is an organization muscle. You need to practice it, and then we started, to do cooperation with last mile delivery companies, with the young kids that are working at home and finding all kind of interesting solutions. So at the end of the day, Ship Your Innovation, which is our local innovation hub, I think it's part of the solution of coping with these unbundling processes. And I think this is the way to stay relevant nowadays.
I think this is an opportunity, because if you are looking about all the links in the value chain, you can see in the market solution for every link. And this is the opportunity for you to acquire company and to give a big solution in the big market players.
Definitely, and as I was saying before we started this panel, most of our solutions to the new customers nowadays are coming from Israeli startups. So
Of course.
it's totally an opportunity for all of us.
Great, guys. So I think my next question is actually can go forward with the area that you talk about Ship Your Innovation. So actually, if you can share what your companies do today in order to stay relevant in the future, what changes are you making in the organization in terms of customer experience and last mile and etc.
Okay, so I think that companies nowadays, in order to stay relevant, first of all, they need to understand that the set of expectations from the new customers is totally changed. Okay, everybody every customer today customer expectations like it's something that we really don't know how to cope with, because customer nowadays expect to get delivery fast, like now, with the amazing customer experience that will make you say wow when you get the delivery, and it's supposed to be for free. And you know, corporate are not built from the process point of view to that kind of change. So what we need to do is basically handle the friction. How we can create a frictionless supply chain. How can we change the business process in the organization and make them like make them work like startups. They need to be very fast. They need to be frictionless in the organization. Once you handle the business process inside the organization, now you can handle the external layer. Now you can handle the layer that meets the customer, that engage with the customer. Basically, one of the reasons that we are engaging with the customers with Israeli startups it's because it's like a frictionless process. It's very simple and very easy. But the prerequisite for that is that you will handle the organization from the internal perspective.
You know, Shai, we are a startup nation, but we don't have to invent everything. We don't have to invent the wheel and whatever. So I think that one of the challenges that we have to deal with is to bring the know-how that is relevant overseas, but we have to be very, very careful about it, because we don't want just to adapt it. We need to understand how to implement it here in Israel. This is a challenge for each country, each city, and sometimes even each neighborhood to change and to adapt the real solution that they will need. There is no one solution that can be implemented everywhere.
I totally agree with you, and this is what I'm saying. When I'm talking about the friction, I'm talking about changing the culture, because we have some kind of a culture here in Israel, everything will be okay culture, you know that? Then you start to be worrying because it's not going to be okay. You need to manage it. You need to adjust the culture to lower the friction rate that you have in the organization and versus the customer. Wrap it with you know, our unique culture here.
I can have from our perspective. At VIA, we're always balancing between two things that we see as our responsibility. One is to be shaping the industry that we're operating in. VIA has created an industry, transit tech, working on autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles. So we see that as one of our roles as a player in this market. And at the same time, also following what you said, Shai and Esti, on being able to listen. VIA is operating today in more than 20 countries globally. Many partners, different kinds of partners, and we need to know to have the channels to communicate, to get the feedback, to learn, to share with our customers the things we're doing, and to have a feedback loop that helps the ecosystem that we're operating in. And I personally think that this balance between looking to the future, but at the same time also having very truthful and professional communication with your existing customers, that's a key to also staying relevant, decades ahead.
Great. So guys, from your point of view, what are the emerging technology that are shaping the future of logistics? Israel, maybe you can start with the point of view.
Sure. So, as you mentioned before, there are a lot of segments that are going through a change nowadays, change of behavior of customers or operators, and that, of course, requires new kinds of technology. When we're looking at the transportation part of logistics, there are opportunities in many parts of the value chain. I can refer to the areas of last mile that we see, and we basically, VIA's been working from 2012 on that unique area of multiple pickups, drop-offs, dynamic routing, which of course helps us today on being very efficient when it comes to last mile. But at the end of the day, you're seeing a growing demand for home delivery, and you see more pickups, more drop-offs. You need a combination of different goods. Some are refrigerated, some are not, and basically we see the ability to be able to have millions of possible trips compute in less than a second. That's what we do today. Is something that really helps our partners and enables them to have to meet the growing demand, and basically in a fraction of the utilized vehicles that other players can have there today. So that's one of the key technologies that we believe is crucial for providing a very good last mile delivery service.
The big challenge is to find the new technologies that are developed. We can see it every day, a new technology. I don't know if you know the Megaway, for example. Megaway, the company in London that is going to deploy around 600 million parcels per year. And they are going to use the Hyperloop solutions for it. So we can see, and of course the drones, we can see that the world is changing, and we will have to find how to adapt it, and if we can adapt it in the end of the day.
And if I'm taking it a little bit to my daily troubles when I'm trying to manage our process in UPC Israel, I can say, first of all, we all know that the e-commerce industry is in amazing figures right now, okay? So we're talking about mass production. We're talking about a huge amount of packages that are basically every day swimming through our business process. So when you see the mass of the packages, you totally understand that platforms or technologies such as RPA, robotic process automation, will definitely enable us to perform very good today. We can say here in Israel, in our site, we are running 2 POCs with 2 companies who are using an AI mechanism for classification. For example, classification is a very difficult process. It's like I think that one of the bottlenecks that we have when every package that you are importing into your country need to run some kind of a legal process, okay? Now imagine that you are talking about thousands of packages each night that need to be classified, and it's been done by a human. So over here we can use some kind of an AI mechanism that will enable us to transform like a night of work to 1 minute. Okay, so we are using AI in those aspects, and of course customer experience technologies. Because at the end of the day, when you want to be a player in this new market, you need to work on the cost reduction side. So if I can manage the service that I'm giving my customer, and stay relevant, and engage in a sophisticated way, and to do that, I need a sophisticated bot platform that will be able to talk to them. And now we're talking about NLP and stuff. So we can see those technologies that are emerging in companies nowadays, and we can see the impact that they are doing on our daily business.
So I think it's a great view. Let's talk about urbanization. Actually, we can see in research that in 2030, about 60% of the world population is accepted to live in cities. This leaves us with numbers of challenges. How do you see this urbanization trends or etc., let's say, evolving the impact of logistics field?
I'll add several more figures to this 60% that you show here, talked before. because this is the number that has been measured or expected by the World Forum Economics in Davos. They are talking until 2030 about 60% increase about with delivery vehicles, and a 32% increase in emission, and also 21 in conjunctions. I think this is a really challenge for the urbans and the cities, but there is no school box solution. Every city, and like I said before, every neighborhood should find and deal with the solution that is fit for her. If you're talking about an old city or about towers, whatever, everything has to have its own solutions. We're talking about micro-logistics centers. We're talking about special zones for upload and download merchandise. Of course, we're talking about B2C and B2B. Those are other processes that we have to deal with, and every city and every shipper and every deliverer should think and to discuss how to solve these problems.
So I agree, and basically what we see is cities are, at the end of the day, want to reach less congestion, less CO2 emission. And Shai earlier talked about the cost perspective and efficiency that service providers or operators or retailers are seeking. And that is another angle of that need. So we need to be more efficient. We need to meet the growing demand, and to do that probably with less vehicles. In addition to that, we see today also restrictions of what kind of vehicles can enter which kind, or like Esti said, where can you drop off or pick up? And as providers in this ecosystem, we do need to take into account that it will be more complex, and we need to have the right technology to do so. And we also need to find a way to coexist. That means that if we will see in the future also drones or electric vehicles, and all of these players need to find a way that to communicate at the end of the day, not to affect the end consumer that at the end of the day wants to have the package when he was supposed to get it. So I mean, you can't really predict what will happen in 10 years, but some areas you can see a very clear trend, and that's the one we see today, especially we're working with many cities globally. I'm very happy to be part of this trend.
Basically, this is the trend we are seeing right now, because when you're looking on the last mile solutions that we are providing to our customers, we're talking about the door-to-door, the classic one, okay? And you know that it's a problem because, once again, we're talking about the urbanization, we're talking about traffic, heavy traffic. It's a worldwide issue. It's not only in Israel. The amount of new roads and versus vehicles, okay? And so this is one option. Another one will be the convenience store, when basically they are located around your neighborhood. And we are talking about lockers. This is the common last mile solution at the moment here in Israel and worldwide. And you can see the trend if I'm putting out of the equation the door-to-door, because it's very expensive to receive the service. We're talking about lockers and convenience store. You will see now that 80% of our customers are preferring the convenience store, since they are basically located in the neighborhood. So we talked about lockers in the building or micro warehouses in neighborhoods. Definitely, it's going in that direction. Because people are starting to create communities inside the towns, and I guess that maybe you can share a bit of your experience from that area, because it's looked like that the cities nowadays are not e-commerce ready. Okay.
No.
Because if you're getting into Tel Aviv with your truck or something like that, it's like a mess. So they need to think about the solutions on how to make it very, once again, efficient and easy to use at the end of the day.
So actually we said that every solution should be customized per city. No cities like other city, and a lot of customized. Okay, great. Let's continue with talking about business models. We see more and more companies in the on-demand tracking space. For example, Convoy has raised $400 million. What do you think about this model? Can you solve the big challenge of the industry with this kind of business model or any other business model that you are believing?
As usual, I'm bringing the numbers and the figures.
Right.
So I don't know if you know, but in Germany, the last year, I'm not talking about 2020, but 2019, there is a lack of 30 million drivers, truck drivers. So this is a big, big opportunity. I think that the first deployment for autonomous cars will be in the transportation. I don't see any other way. And I think that the share economics is also the solution for it. I don't know if you know Buzzer, for example, here in Israel, that are dealing with B2C in the evening hours, something like that. So everything should be changed, the way of thinking in the transportation, because of the lack of employees, the way, the traffic that you say, that you don't want to ship half track. And you can see on the road empty tracks. And look, I'm seeing it and say, how come? How can it be?
Basically, the concept of marketplaces, I think it's amazing because it's related to the gig economy. It's related to the new customers. It's related to the XY generation behavior. So basically, the marketplace scene in general, I think it's empowering the SMB, the small business. Because think about a small manufacturer that need to transport his goods. Okay, it's like a lot of money to transport it in Israel, okay? Not talking about abroad. And the issue with drivers basically is in Israel, it's the same issue in Israel. So once again, if you have the platform that enables you to receive a full-scale logistic platform, okay, without doing anything and use it on demand, think about the cost. We talked about the cost before, so think about the cost, how convenient it, and so I think it's a great solution, and we can see it nowadays when we are integrating a lot of our platforms or a lot of our core services into platforms like that in order to assist or to be a part of this ecosystem. And I think you will have something else to add.
Yeah, I will just add on top of that that basically we see a few motivations to go into this marketplace approach. One is, like Shai said, a lot of SMBs entering into the home delivery to be competitive or to stay alive, but they don't have a fleet. So a marketplace is a great solution for that. At the same time, I have a fleet, I'm a retailer, but all of a sudden I have peaks, which I can't always predict, and I want to keep my same fleet, and therefore I will be happy to use a marketplace. So it's operators, retailers, marketplace, that's a need today in the market.
Thank you, Israel. Thank you all for sharing your insights on what the future holds for logistics industry. I'm sure we will see many transformation in the fields in the years to come. I want to thank you and appreciate that you are joined for this panel. You have a huge and amazing ideas. So thank you very much and see you next year.
Thank you for having us.